Hello guys, here is a 2002 generic Hugger ceiling fan. I do not know what brand this is, but I suspect this is a copy of the Heritage Alexis 52-inch ceiling fan. And the model number on the fan it said H52UL. However, that's kind of a generic model number, so I'll show you guys this information on the motor housing. That definitely sounds more accurate to me. So I got this at a thrift store for $15. And for $15 for how cheap this thing is, I think that was a little on the pricey side, but you know, it's in pretty good condition, so I don't think $15 is a horrible price, but I have seen at that same store better quality fans for cheaper. So this fan right here is from around 2002, so but when I got this fan, I thought it was like some 90s Hugger, late 80s, early 90s Hugger, but it is from 2002, so I don't think it's a Heritage make because it would have said Heritage on the motor. However, it has some Heritage elements to it. Heritage is known for, in the early 2000s, they kept a lot of their like late 80s, early 90s stuff. Like the Furnex is one example. That definitely looks like something that would come out straight of the 80s and the early 90s. And there's another model out there that I can't think of the name. The Alexis series, both 42 and 52, they do look like they would come out straight of the late 80s, early 90s. But they were more of a early 2000s thing. So I think this is one of those other brands that is like that. I don't know what brand it would be. Perhaps it could be Seabrook Hill because I know Seabrook Hill has kept some of the older designs. But I'm going to send some pictures to the channel of Random Ceiling Fans to see if he can help me figure out what brand this would be. Because I do have another Hugger ceiling fan that has the tag like that on the side of the motor housing. And on the tag of the motor, it also says H number UL. So I don't know. Maybe it is the same brand. Maybe it's a totally different brand. I don't know, but I really do care. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys the fan's operation. Here's low. This fan is allowed to draw, I can't exactly remember, but it's probably somewhere around 0.5, 0.6, or 0.8. I'll put it in a power rating in the description box that nobody reads when I take this fan down, because sometime tonight I'm going to be taking this fan down and replace it with a Hunter Summer Breeze. I'll probably put the one in that's from 2000 because I would rather have a white fan in here, because if the white paint gets damaged, it's easy to repaint. And if I remember correctly, that one Hunter Summer Breeze already has some damage to it, so it probably won't be a bad fan to put in here. This is low speed, and the fan is drawing 0.46 amps. And I forgot to mention this, but there's two other elements that this fan brand has that the Heritage also has. Like Heritage does, this has a rating of 110 volts, when in reality, since it's from 2002, this is certainly plenty new enough to say 120. And the other element is this uses a bare copper wire for ground, just like Heritage does. Most fan manufacturers use a green wire for the ground. So I'm thinking maybe This is the same brand as Heritage. Maybe Heritage changed its name to Seabrook Hill. I really don't know all that history, but I would love for any of you guys to let me know in the comments box below. This is medium. And on medium, the power rating is 0.43 amps. So that's a little bit lower than low. I don't know why it's like that. It really shouldn't. Although it's negligible power draw, I really am. This is probably another Heritage element that this has. I find that Heritage fans, the lowest power draw is on medium, the middle is on low, and the highest is on high. Which highest on high makes sense, but the low and the medium power draw being flipped around, that doesn't really make sense. So if I were to use a Heritage fan regularly, I would probably just hook it up to a remote or a variable speed control, such as the 3-speed, the 4-speed, or the infinite range. And now high. And it's shaking a little bit. I don't know if it's catching too well on the camera, but it is definitely shaking a little bit. And this thing is pushing out pretty good air for an El Cheapo. Of course, this is an open raftered ceiling, so that might be why it's pushing as much air as it is. I think in a normal use case, like in a bedroom, it probably wouldn't move as much air. So this is high speed, and it's drawing 0.53 amps, so that sounds about right. I don't know if this has a super precise power draw. I do know that on the 30-inch and the 42-inch Heritage fans, they did the hundredths of the amp too on the power ratings. Maybe the 52-inch one might be the same way. Okay, I'm gonna shut this thing off and see the spin down. We'll let it coast, and thank you guys for watching the video, and have a good one. Bye.